my paper is, as Dr. Brahma has just mentioned, revisiting the concept of umlaut. I think you can see my slides now.
Yes,
It
ma'am,
is
absolutely.
written by the NTS people, Dr. Murali Mohan. I thank him. Now, I think the time may be too short, so in that case, I may have to skip some examples. The history of the concept of umlaut or vowel mutation goes back to 200 years ago. It is a German term meaning around, that is and laut, that means sound. So around a sound. It was Jacob Ludwig Karl Grimm, a German linguist who belonged to the school of neo-grammarians, a group of Indo-Europeanists of the 19th century, propounded the concept of umlaut. He forwarded this concept in connection with his study of texts and grammars of Old High German and Middle High German, and also of other Germanic languages and dialects. His own discovery of umlaut inspired Grimm to write his monumental Deutsche Grammatik. In later days, the term went through further elaboration and clarification by different scholars. We come to know about this in detail from Gune, Satebhan, Lehman, Hawk and Joseph, Bushman, Thomas, Chatterjee, and many others. The present paper attempts to revisit the subtle differences observed in the meaning of the term and how it is utilized in the description of the phonology and grammar of languages. Umlaut in Grimm's Deutsche Grammatik, that is German grammar, in order to supply the rationale for language history and at the same time group history, especially of the Germanic group of languages, Grimm stated, I quote, conditioned vowel modification in syllables as words are built up, unquote. Grimm employed the terms like ablaut, umlaut, and the positional terms like unlaut, inlaut, and auslaut. Umlaut, that is the gradation of vowels. It is a historic, quite important concept in historical linguistics. And in modern languages also, especially in case of Indo-Aryan languages, we get this type of ablaut gradation. Then umlaut, now I am discussing, and the positional terms unlaut, that is that refers to the initial position of a sound in a word or syllable. Inlaut to the middle position and auslaut to the final position. As Koener mentions, Grimm discovered the effects of umlaut in Middle High German in forms such as Hand versus Hände, and the explanation that he now could provide led him to be more confident about the regularities of grammatical structure. Now, plural, Hanti, in Old High German, the word was Hanti, from Hand. Hand means hand. And in modern German, in Old German itself, it was changed to Henti because of the E vowel of the following syllable. And in modern German, we get Hand, and Hende, because what finally the is not pronounced, it is unvoiced, Hand, and in medially it is the is pronounced Hende. It is said that in Middle High German, umlaut was sometimes indicated by adding an A to the concerned sound. Thus we get a name like Goethe, the spelling is G-O-E, instead of G-O, that is with diaresis T-H-E. Now let us deal with these three terms, umlaut, vowel harmony, and metaphony. Umlaut is a diachronic process and it indicates regressive vowel assimilation. Bloomfield describes, I quote, the commonest type of umlaut is the partial assimilation of a stressed back vowel to a following E or yaw. Old Norse had also other types of umlaut, such as assimilation of a toward the back vowel quality of a following u, as in saku. Compare Old English, saku, dispute, and it became in Old Norse Sock, that is open one. Instead of the low one, it is low mid. We can thus describe the nature of umlaut as anticipated, partial, and distant type of vowel assimilation. The most important type of umlaut is e-umlaut, which takes place in all the Germanic languages or dialects with the exception of Gothic. Umlaut also took place in many Germanic languages, dialects rather. On the basis of the direction of assimilation, linguists make a distinction between palatalization or fronting, velarization or backing, raising and lowering umlaut. Hock 1986 and Bushman 1996. Examples I have taken from Hock 1986. Fronting, Proto-Germanic Filian, that changes to Old English Filian because of the yaw semi-vowel in the following syllable. And modern English we get fill, that yaw has been lost. Fronting as well as raising, Proto-Germanic Gastitz, Old English guest, modern English guest, A changes to A. Lowering or of high to mid. For example, Proto-Germanic Nista, Old English nest, modern English nest. E changes to A, that is lowered, close mid, because of the low vowel A in the following syllable. Backing as well as raising. Pre-Old Norse, alum, Old Norse, alum, o, and modern English all, like doll, all, call. On the other hand, vowel harmony is a synchronic process, and it generally refers to progressive type of vowel assimilation. It is clear that both the processes are partial in nature. Metaphony is used to refer to the assimilatory processes involving vowels occurring in neighboring syllables. It can be said that metaphony is the umbrella term which covers both vowel harmony and umlaut as subtypes so far described. The difference between umlaut and vowel harmony lies only in the position of the influencing vowel. Use of the term by comparative philologist and historical linguist. Gule, 1918, discusses a kind of sound change without using the term umlaut under, within quotation, conditional phonetic change. This type of phonetic change takes place in a syllable of a word due to the influence of another syllable containing the vowels affecting each other. This may be also vowel harmony, but in next description, it can be observed that he actually means this umlaut type of vowel assimilation. Gune exemplifies Old High German gesti for Gothic gasti. In Gothic there is no umlaut, so Gothic gasti is found to be in Old High German gesti. Here E of the following syllable influences A of the previous syllable and changes to a vowel with the front feature. He considers, he means Gune, this change a kind of vowel assimilation involving contiguous syllables and relates this type of change to regressive type of assimilation. That is so far described as umlaut, that is regressive assimilation, vowel assimilation. Vowel harmony is widely operated in many languages of the world, old or modern, irrespective of language families like Indo-European, Ural-Altaic, Bantu, Australian, Aboriginal languages, and so on. As I.J.S. Tapurwala states in 1931, vowel harmony is prevalent in all the Ural and Altaic languages. The root vowel determines the vowels of the suffixes. In Turkish, evler, houses, but atlad, horses. The vowel A and A determines the vowel of the suffixes. In course of discussing vowel assimilation, Statevant refers to the West Germanic languages, which at an early stage of the history show the widespread influence of unaccented vowels over the accented syllables of the preceding syllables. He says, I quote, in particular, the vowel E in inflectional endings and suffixes tended to convert back vowels into front or intermediate vowels. In Old High German, the plural lam is lembir. Anglo-Saxon exhibits the modern contrast between long and length. In this connection, he gives an example from the Avestan word wohu. Statavan, give this example. Wohu. Wohu, it has been derived from Indo-European wesu, means treasure. And then wahu, it changes to wahu in Avestan, and o changed to o because of u next in the next syllable. Sanskrit is vasu, vasunoti, that vasu, where the vowel of the following syllable influences the vowel of the preceding syllable. Statavan, 1947, prefers to call this sort of assimilation in which a phoneme inclines to become similar or identical with the following phoneme. He uses this term, anticipation. Under this head, he discusses the words like lembir, means lambs, Old English men, coming from manis, in which he says speakers of the prehistoric times seemingly anticipated the high front position of the tongue in the vowel of the plural endings, and the low back vowel of the first syllable are changes to mid-high front vowel A. According to Hamanns, 1985, in Old High German and Proto-German, there was Umlaut, a lowering rule, as we find Nista, that changes to nest in modern English. And there is a lowering of the height. And between Proto-German and Old Western German Umlaut, a fronting rule existed. Along with others, he also refers to the expansion of umlaut without umlaut conditioning in the later period. For example, nagel, that is nail, and in plural form it is negel, but there is no e or ya in the foreign syllable. Comparative philologists and historical linguists dealing with the history of the Indo-Aryan languages have also recognized this phonological process, umlaut. In course of explaining the development of the Bengali language, Chatterjee 1926 and following him Shane 1960 identify a process as umlaut or vowel mutation occurring in modern Bengali. For example, the word kore, having done, can be derived from the older literary form korea. Similarly, the older literary form rakhia, having place, changes to rekhe. Though the concept of umlaut is rooted in the fronting of back vowels under the influence of a vowel occurring in a suffix, Chatterjee uses the term to indicate an anticipatory raising of vowels through the influence of the high vowels in the foreign syllable. He actually emphasized the anticipatory raising feature. Later, Sarkar 2006 doesn't accept this process operating in this development and takes a position that this development from Korea to Kore or Rakhia to Rekhe is not the result of umlaut at all. Instead, it exhibits an operation of a set of rules like epenthesis, vowel harmony, glide deletion, another vowel harmony, gliding of the epenthetic vowel, another glide deletion, etc. But this is not the time to discuss all these things. That's a separate story. Role of umlaut in the change of phonological and grammatical systems. Umlaut can bring a change in the phonological system of a language. Lehmann discusses the development of phonemes in Germanic by split. According to him, I quote, pre-Old English short and long o, a, o, u standing before ya or short or long e of the following syllable became fronted. R changes to a, o changes to fronted o, letter a, u changes to ya, letter e. The fronted allophones of o, u, letter a, e developed as phonemes when the conditioning ya was lost or the conditioning vowels merged to a central vowel. The fronted allophone of a merged with the earlier a. So thus, new vowels developed by split as an outcome of umlaut. And such changes can impact the structure of a language as well. Let us consider the pre-Old English words foot and footy. Compare Old English foot and fet and modern English foot and feet. The resultant vowel alteration of the first syllable from Old to Modern English exists even after the loss of the conditioning factor E. This internal vowel change became purely grammatical, as mentioned by Bloomfield Lehman. In English, this sound change worked on to a minor extent. There are limited number of irregular noun plurals, for example, man, men, mouse, mice, goose, geese, and so on. But umlaut plays a wide role in the plural formation of German. For example, Haus, Hausler, and Hausen, that is little house. Another example of umlaut which has been integrated in morphosemantic relationships. For example, German Tag, day, and English, daily. Sometimes the new morphological device may be extended by analogy. Now, Lehman gives one interesting example. He says, page 191, in English word paradigm, there are sleep, slept like verbal forms in past tense, slept. But a new form, slept, with the loss of final T, has been made available nowadays. Now, what has been the future of this type of new forms that is further to be investigated. Now I have come to the conclusion. I think I have not taken much time towards I am afraid of. Umlaut has been observed as an important diachronic assimilatory process operating in adjacent syllables in the history of different languages, especially in the Germanic group of Indo-European languages. But Bynon, Hawk and Joseph and others notice the process now to be less operative and insignificant in English. They mention that in English, traces of umlaut in morphology have become quite rarer. There are some survivals only like foot, field, goose, geese, mouse, mice, foot, feed, blood, bleed, etc. But in German, umlaut is still functional. For example, Old High German Gast changes to Gesti in plural. New High German is Geste, that is Gest in plural form. Hanans, 1985, refers to recent examples of umlaut working in non-adjacent syllables. For example, in the dialect of Roermond, that is a small town in the Dutch province of Limburg, there are derivatives like Hamburger K. K is the diminutive suffix from Hamburger. He further reports that in Sinhalese, there was a rule of progressive umlaut at one time. For example, Sinhali, Sevel, mosque. It has come from Sevala, Pali, which is again been derived from Sanskrit Shaivala. Shaivala, I, that changes to A in Pali, that is a historical process, historical phonological change. And then A influences the A of the foreign syllable and it changes to A in Sinhali, Sevel. But Hammond agrees that umlaut in general is no more productive in Sinhala. Comparatively, vowel harmony is more general and extensive as we find. It is a productive process in many modern languages, especially in South Asian languages. It is a feature of South Asian languages. For example, Assamese, Bengali, Oriya, Magahi, Toda, Telugu, Santali, etc. Hawk further reports that there are clear cases of umlaut also in some modern languages. For example, it is interesting to note. He has said that it is found in Sinhala, Kashmiri, and some Dardic languages. It is interesting to note that Crowley defines umlaut, I quote, as a special kind of vowel harmony that goes under the name of umlaut. That means he doesn't agree to consider umlaut as a separate process and accepts it as a type of vowel harmony only. Arlotto, 1972, describes vowel assimilations as, I quote, generally known by the name of umlaut or vowel harmony. That means he doesn't want to distinguish between these processes. Both the processes have been observed to proceed both regressively and progressively. It is well admitted that the use of the term vowel harmony is not restricted to the progressive nature of assimilation only. Consequently, some scholars do not distinguish between these two processes as Hawk reports. So, it is rightly observed by Hawke, 2016. I quote, vowel harmony is not always easy to distinguish from umlaut, but many of cases, level vowel harmony in the literature may alternatively considered umlaut or just simple vowel assimilation. In this connection, we can refer to Bindon's observation. He mentions that though umlaut was a phonetically conditioned rule in Germanic, its operation in modern German is observed to be no longer likewise conditioned. For example, gastlich, hospitable, in which the vowel of the first syllable is not changed due to the front vowel of the foreign syllable. Finally, it is felt that further investigation is very much required to find out the exact nature of umlaut, which is noticed to be existent as a synchronic process in some languages like Kashmiri, Sinhala, as reported by Hawke, and also mentioned by Doug Hitz. He has mentioned, here's a paper on Old Khotani synchronic umlaut. He says that in old Khotanis, it was present umlaut. That may be, but how can it be a synchronic process? That is a query. So it is to be decided whether these cases apparently umlaut are to be considered vowel harmony or not. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question, Krishnadi? I don't know whether you remember me. It was a pleasure listening to you. I was one of your students in Calcutta University in 2000, 1998, 2000. So, ma'am, I was just,
Would you, would you please tell me your name?
yeah, I am Shubhana Bandhavadhyay.
Oh,
Thank you.
Shubhani Bandhavadhyay. Yes, I remember very well.
Yes. So I just had a question, not a question, it's just a comment that in English, for example, the English that we speak, or maybe the English that we get to know, incorporating lots of sounds or lots of words from Indian languages. So can English, it has been stopped as at the phonological level. That is food becoming feet, mouse becoming mice, and so on. But can it be extended to the or can it survive later on outside its domain of morphology? That is, if we consider at the phonemic level.
No, no. So far as the plural formation, do you want to know about the status of the plural formation of these words? In English, saw, addition of saw in plural, that is the productive process by adding s suffix. And the other cow, kind, or goose, geese, food, feed, this is not possible. These are only survivals of the old process. But what is your exact question? I would like to know.
Ma'am, it was just an observation. I didn't have any question in mind. Okay, you have already answered it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a nice presentation. This is just an observation and a comment. Actually, yeah, the issue of omelette actually, for some reason, have not been discussed the way it should have been. I actually was trying to recall like the many instances of vowel harmony happening in Assamese or also in some varieties of Bangla at least. So I think like it is time possibly we should actually revisit and see how we can redefine some of those things or maybe relook into our data. So your data from standard colloquial Bangla, so the old form, the Shadu form to the things. So yeah, those things were like really an eye opener for I think like many of the buzzing phonologists like us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amalesh.